Learning English has been a journey filled with challenges, triumphs, and transformative experiences. Reflecting on my struggle to master this language evokes a sense of nostalgia, reminding me of the countless hours spent grappling with vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation. My story begins in a small town where English was not just a second language, it was a distant aspiration. Growing up, I often felt isolated from the wider world because English seemed like an impenetrable barrier. In elementary school, I was introduced to English through basic lessons, but my understanding was limited to a few simple words and phrases. The classroom was filled with students who seemed to grasp the language effortlessly, while I struggled to keep up. I vividly remember the day we had a spelling bee. My heart raced as my name was called. Standing in front of my classmates, I froze. The word I was supposed to spell danced in my mind like a mirage, and despite my best efforts, I spelled it wrong. Laughter erupted, and I felt the heat of embarrassment wash over me. That moment crystallized my fear of making mistakes in English, but it also ignited a determination within me to improve. After that experience, I made a promise to myself: I would learn English, not just to avoid embarrassment, but to connect with the world beyond my small town. I started by immersing myself in English media. I discovered a love for movies, and I would watch them with subtitles, trying to catch every word and phrase. Initially, I found it challenging to follow the fast-paced dialogues. Characters spoke with accents, slang, and colloquialisms that often left me perplexed. I remember watching a popular film and rewinding scenes multiple times, trying to decipher the conversations. This effort, though frustrating, was rewarding. Gradually, I began to recognize patterns in speech and pick up new vocabulary. Alongside movies, I turned to music. English songs became my companions, and I would play them on repeat. I found myself drawn to the lyrics, often scribbling them down and attempting to understand their meanings. This process not only expanded my vocabulary but also helped me appreciate the cultural nuances embedded in the language. I discovered that music could convey emotions and stories in a way that transcended linguistic barriers. With each song, I gained confidence, singing along to lyrics that once felt foreign. Despite my progress, speaking English remained a significant hurdle. The fear of making mistakes loomed large. I knew that practice was essential, so I sought opportunities to engage in conversations. My first chance came through a community center that hosted language exchange events. I was both excited and terrified at the prospect of speaking with native English speakers. When I arrived, I felt like a fish out of water. Everyone else seemed so fluent, so at ease. I clutched my notes nervously, reminding myself of the vocabulary I had learned. As the evening progressed, I found myself paired with a kind woman who was eager to help. She spoke slowly and clearly, encouraging me to express myself. With each tentative sentence I formed, I felt a mix of pride and anxiety. I stumbled over words, occasionally forgetting the correct tenses, but she never made me feel inadequate. Instead, she listened patiently, guiding me through corrections and celebrating my small victories. That evening marked a turning point in my journey. For the first time, I realized that making mistakes was a natural part of learning. I left the community center feeling a sense of accomplishment, and I was eager to return. The more I practiced speaking, the more my confidence grew. I joined an online forum dedicated to language learners, where I connected with others who were on a similar journey. We shared tips, resources, and even frustrations. It was comforting to know I wasn't alone in my struggles. Through these exchanges, I found language partners with whom I could practice speaking regularly. We would set up video calls, and I would often prepare topics to discuss. These sessions were invaluable. They not only improved my fluency but also helped me develop a more nuanced understanding of cultural references and idiomatic expressions. With each conversation, I learned to navigate the intricacies of English. I began to appreciate its rich tapestry of rules and exceptions. Phrasal verbs, for instance, initially felt daunting. The way a single verb could take on multiple meanings depending on the preposition left me bewildered. However, through consistent practice and exposure, I started to see the beauty in this complexity. I would jot down new phrases and practice using them in sentences, slowly incorporating them into my speech. Another significant milestone in my journey was my experience with writing. As someone who had always been passionate about storytelling, I found writing in English both exhilarating and intimidating. I started by keeping a journal, jotting down my thoughts and experiences in simple sentences. The act of writing forced me to confront my limitations, yet it also provided a space for experimentation. I would write short stories, often basing them on my life, and share them with friends who were more proficient in English. Their feedback was invaluable. It opened my eyes to areas where I needed improvement while also encouraging my creativity. As time passed, I enrolled in formal English classes. These classes were structured, providing me with a solid foundation in grammar and syntax. The teachers were passionate about helping us succeed, and their encouragement made a significant difference. I remember one particular teacher who would share anecdotes from her own experiences learning foreign languages. Her stories resonated with me, reminding me that learning a language is not just about mastering rules, it's about connecting with others and understanding different perspectives. The combination of formal education and real-life practice allowed me to progress at an astonishing rate. I became more comfortable expressing my thoughts and ideas. I began to engage in debates, write essays, and participate in discussions. Each opportunity strengthened my command of the language, and I started to view English not merely as a tool for communication but as a means of self-expression. However, my journey wasn't without its setbacks. There were days when I felt overwhelmed, frustrated by the complexities of the language. I would stumble over words in conversations or misplace commas in my writing, leading to moments of self-doubt. On those days, I would remind myself of how far I had come. I would revisit old journal entries, and it was inspiring to see my growth. Each challenge became a lesson, reinforcing my commitment to learning. One of the most rewarding aspects of my journey was the friendships I formed along the way. Many of my peers were also language learners, and we supported one another through our struggles. We would celebrate each other's successes, no matter how small. I remember the day a friend successfully delivered a presentation in English without any major errors. The pride we felt for one another created a sense of community, and I realized that my struggle to learn English was not just a personal endeavor, it was a shared experience that connected us all. As I continued to improve, I found opportunities to use my English skills in various contexts. Volunteering in local organizations allowed me to interact with people from diverse backgrounds. I would assist newcomers in navigating daily life, helping them communicate effectively in English. This experience was incredibly fulfilling. It reminded me of my own struggles and reinforced the importance of empathy in language learning. Through teaching others, I solidified my understanding of the language, and I cherished the relationships that blossomed from these interactions. Eventually, my efforts culminated in a moment I had once deemed impossible. I delivered a speech in English at a community event. Standing in front of an audience, I felt a mix of nerves and excitement. As I spoke, I could see the engagement in their eyes. The words flowed more naturally than I had anticipated, and I realized that I had finally found my voice in English. That moment was not just a personal victory, it symbolized the culmination of years of hard work and perseverance. As I reflect on my journey, it's evident that learning English has shaped not just my language skills but also my identity. The language opened doors to opportunities I never thought possible. I began to explore subjects that fascinated me: literature, science, history through English. I immersed myself in classic novels, discovering new worlds and perspectives. Each book became a stepping stone, enhancing my understanding of language and culture. I remember the first time I read a novel in English without relying on a dictionary. It was a pivotal moment. I could feel the flow of the language, the rhythm of the sentences, and the emotional weight of the characters' experiences. This immersion deepened my appreciation for English literature and its rich tapestry of voices. It inspired me to start writing more seriously. I began crafting short stories and poems, exploring themes that resonated with me. Writing became an outlet for my emotions and thoughts, a way to articulate my experiences as a language learner. Over time, I gained the confidence to share my writing with a broader audience. I submitted pieces to local publications and participated in writing contests. Each acceptance or constructive criticism bolstered my determination. I realized that writing in English was not just about linguistic accuracy, it was about storytelling and connecting with readers. It was a way to bridge gaps, to share my journey with others who might be facing similar struggles. As I navigated this new landscape of opportunities, I found myself drawn to teaching. I wanted to give back to the community that had supported me throughout my journey. I started volunteering as an English tutor for children and adults in my area. The experience was incredibly rewarding. I witnessed firsthand the same struggles I had faced: a fear of speaking, difficulty with grammar, and the frustration of miscommunication. It was a privilege to guide others through these challenges, to provide them with the tools and support they needed to succeed. Teaching also reinforced my own understanding of the language. Explaining concepts to others required me to think critically about my own language skills. I learned to break down complex ideas into manageable lessons. I found creative ways to make learning engaging, incorporating games, music, and storytelling into my sessions. The joy on my students' faces when they grasped a new concept or successfully conversed in English was immeasurable. It reminded me of my own small victories and the importance of celebrating progress. In my role as a tutor, I also became acutely aware of the diverse backgrounds of my students. Each person brought their own unique experiences and motivations for learning English. Some were immigrants seeking better job opportunities, while others were students hoping to study abroad. Listening to their stories enriched my understanding of the human experience and highlighted the universal challenges of communication. It reinforced the idea that language is not just a collection of words and rules, it is a means of expressing our identities, hopes, and dreams. As I continued to teach, I realized that language learning extends beyond the classroom. I organized community events that celebrated cultural diversity, where people could share their traditions, foods, and stories. These gatherings fostered connections among individuals from different backgrounds, creating a supportive environment for language learners. It was a beautiful reminder that while language can be a barrier, it can also be a bridge that unites us. Looking back, my struggle to learn English has been a transformative experience that shaped who I am today. It taught me resilience, patience, and the importance of community. Each challenge I faced became a stepping stone towards self-discovery. I developed a profound appreciation for the power of language to connect people across cultures. As I stand here today, I am not just proficient in English, I am passionate about the beauty of communication and the connections it fosters. I carry the lessons learned throughout this journey with me, embracing the idea that learning is a lifelong endeavor. The barriers that once felt insurmountable have become stepping stones, propelling me forward into a future filled with possibilities. In the subsequent years, I continued to embrace new challenges and opportunities for growth. I realized that language learning is not a finite process but rather an ongoing journey. Each new experience, conversation, and piece of literature I encountered enriched my understanding of English and its nuances. I sought to expand my vocabulary further, diving into specialized topics that piqued my interest: science, philosophy, and art. This exploration deepened my ability to articulate complex ideas and engage in meaningful discussions. I also began to explore the world of public speaking. Joining a local Toastmasters club was a pivotal decision that boosted my confidence significantly. The supportive environment encouraged me to share my ideas and stories with others. Preparing speeches forced me to think critically about my language choices, structure, and delivery. Each meeting became a platform for growth, and I quickly learned to embrace the art of storytelling. I discovered that sharing my personal journey not only inspired others but also allowed me to connect with them on a deeper level. As I continued to grow in my language skills, I began to mentor others. I took on a more active role in the community, organizing workshops focused on language learning and cultural exchange. These events were a culmination of my experiences, where I could share the strategies that had worked for me and facilitate discussions about the challenges faced by language learners. The sense of camaraderie in these sessions was palpable, and it reinforced the idea that we were all in this together. It was empowering to see participants support one another, creating an atmosphere of encouragement and growth. One of the most rewarding moments during this period was when I received an invitation to speak at a local educational conference. The theme revolved around the importance of language in fostering cross-cultural understanding. I felt both excited and nervous, but I knew this was an opportunity to share my journey with a larger audience. Preparing my speech forced me to reflect on the significance of my experiences. I spoke passionately about the transformative power of language, not just as a means of communication but as a bridge to understanding diverse perspectives. On the day of the conference, I stood before an audience filled with educators, students, and language enthusiasts. As I spoke, I could see nods of agreement and smiles of recognition. Sharing my story resonated deeply with many, and I felt a sense of connection in the room. Afterward, participants approached me with their own stories of struggle and triumph, and it became evident that language learning was a shared journey for so many. The feedback I received was overwhelming, and it reminded me of the impact that personal narratives can have in inspiring others. In the following months, I continued to embrace opportunities to share my experiences. I started a blog dedicated to language learning, where I documented my progress, shared resources, and offered tips to fellow learners. Writing became a powerful outlet for reflection, allowing me to articulate not only my struggles but also my successes. The blog attracted a community of readers who resonated with my journey, and I was thrilled to engage with others who were navigating similar paths. This online platform expanded my network and provided me with a sense of purpose as I contributed to a larger conversation about language learning. Through this process, I also recognized the importance of cultural exchange. Language is intrinsically tied to culture, and I sought ways to incorporate cultural elements into my learning and teaching. I organized events that showcased different cultures, inviting individuals to share their traditions, foods, and stories. These gatherings were a celebration of diversity, allowing participants to connect through their unique backgrounds. The joy and excitement in the room reinforced my belief that language is a gateway to understanding and appreciating one another's experiences. As my language skills continued to flourish, I decided to take the next step in my academic journey. I enrolled in a degree program that focused on linguistics and language education. This decision was driven by my passion for language and my desire to contribute to the field of education. The coursework provided me with a deeper understanding of language acquisition, teaching methodologies, and the intricacies of linguistic structures. I was surrounded by like-minded individuals who shared my enthusiasm for language learning, and together, we explored innovative approaches to teaching. During my studies, I had the opportunity to conduct research on language learning strategies. This experience not only honed my analytical skills but also deepened my understanding of the cognitive processes involved in acquiring a new language. I interviewed fellow learners, exploring their challenges and successes, and synthesized these insights into a comprehensive study. The research reinforced my belief in the power of personalized learning experiences, where individuals can thrive by tapping into their unique strengths and interests. Throughout this academic journey, I also gained practical experience through internships and volunteer opportunities. Working in diverse educational settings allowed me to apply my knowledge in real-world contexts. I developed lesson plans, facilitated language workshops, and engaged with students from various backgrounds. Each interaction further fueled my passion for teaching and reaffirmed my commitment to fostering an inclusive and supportive learning environment. Reflecting on my experiences, I realized that my struggle to learn English was not just a personal endeavor, it was a collective journey that connected me to a broader community of learners and educators. Language is a powerful tool that transcends borders, and I felt a responsibility to advocate for language education and promote its importance in fostering cross-cultural understanding. I began to engage with local organizations, participating in initiatives aimed at supporting language learners and advocating for accessible language education. As I continued to grow in my role as an advocate, I recognized the importance of empowering others. I started mentoring students who were beginning their own language learning journeys, sharing my insights and experiences. I aim to inspire them to embrace the challenges and celebrate their progress. The relationships I formed with these students were incredibly fulfilling, and it was heartwarming to witness their growth and confidence blossom over time. Years later, I found myself reflecting on the transformative nature of my journey. The shy, hesitant individual who once struggled to speak English had evolved into a confident communicator, passionate about language and education. I recognized that the struggle was not just about mastering grammar or vocabulary, it was about building connections, fostering understanding, and embracing the beauty of diversity. As I stand here today, I am not only proficient in English but also deeply committed to the power of language as a tool for social change. I continue to engage in advocacy efforts, collaborating with organizations that promote language education and support immigrants and refugees in their language acquisition journeys. I have witnessed firsthand the profound impact that language can have on individuals' lives, opening doors to opportunities, friendships, and a sense of belonging. My experiences have led me to explore the intersection of technology and language learning. I became interested in how digital resources could facilitate language acquisition. I experimented with various language learning apps, online courses, and platforms that connected learners from around the world. These tools not only provided flexibility but also enriched my learning experience. I discovered virtual language exchange programs that paired learners with native speakers, allowing for real-time practice and cultural exchange. The convenience of technology opened new avenues for connection and learning that I had never imagined. Encouraged by my success with technology, I began to incorporate it into my teaching. I introduced my students to online resources and platforms that could enhance their learning experience. We explored interactive language games, virtual language exchanges, and online writing communities. The engagement from my students was remarkable. They were excited to use technology as a tool for language learning. This integration of technology fostered a dynamic and interactive classroom environment, where learners felt empowered to take charge of their own learning journeys. As I delved deeper into the world of digital language learning, I discovered the power of social media. Platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube became valuable resources for language learners. I began following educators and creators who shared tips, lessons, and cultural insights through engaging content. Inspired by their creativity, I decided to start my own YouTube channel dedicated to language learning. I shared my experiences, offered advice, and created engaging tutorials on common language challenges. The response was overwhelmingly positive. Learners from different backgrounds connected with my content, sharing their own stories and challenges. I was amazed by the sense of community that developed around the channel. Viewers encouraged one another, shared resources, and formed friendships across geographical boundaries. It became a testament to the idea that language learning is a shared journey, and we can uplift one another in our quests for fluency. One of the most rewarding aspects of this endeavor was the ability to provide accessible content for learners at various stages. I created videos targeting different proficiency levels, ensuring that everyone could find something valuable. As I continued to grow my channel, I also sought collaborations with other creators. Together, we conducted live Q&A sessions, shared our language learning tips, and fostered a collaborative spirit that resonated with our audiences. Throughout my journey, I have remained committed to the idea that language learning should be inclusive and accessible. I have actively sought out opportunities to engage with marginalized communities, offering language support and resources to those who may not have access to formal education. Whether through community workshops, online support groups, or partnerships with local organizations, I strive to create a safe and welcoming environment for all language learners. As I reflect on the broader implications of my journey, I recognize that language learning is a powerful tool for social change. It fosters empathy, understanding, and connection among individuals from diverse backgrounds. By breaking down linguistic barriers, we open doors to collaboration and cooperation. I have witnessed how language can empower individuals to advocate for their rights, share their stories, and build inclusive communities. My passion for language education has led me to explore the idea of advocacy on a larger scale. I began volunteering with organizations that focus on language rights and access to education. I participated in campaigns aimed at raising awareness about the importance of language education for marginalized communities. These experiences opened my eyes to the systemic challenges that many learners face, and I felt a responsibility to amplify their voices. Through these advocacy efforts, I have been fortunate to connect with like-minded individuals and organizations. Together, we have organized workshops, webinars, and community events focused on language education. It has been inspiring to witness the impact of our collective efforts. We have created spaces where learners can share their experiences, access resources, and connect with mentors who can guide them on their language journeys. As I look to the future, I am excited about the possibilities that lie ahead. I aspire to continue my advocacy work, expanding my efforts to reach more communities and learners. I dream of developing programs that integrate language education with cultural exchange, where individuals can not only learn a language but also gain insights into the rich tapestry of global cultures. I believe that by fostering understanding and appreciation for diversity, we can build a more inclusive and harmonious world. In conclusion, my struggle to learn English has been a profound and transformative experience. It has shaped my identity, fueled my passion for teaching, and ignited a commitment to advocacy. Through resilience, patience, and a deep appreciation for the beauty of language, I have navigated challenges and celebrated successes. The connections I have forged along the way, both with fellow learners and with the wider community, have enriched my journey and deepened my understanding of the world. As I continue on this path, I carry with me the lessons learned throughout my journey. I approach new challenges with the knowledge that persistence will lead to growth. I remain committed to empowering others, fostering connections, and celebrating the beauty of language. The barriers that once felt insurmountable have become stepping stones, propelling me forward into a future filled with possibilities. Every word I speak and write is a testament to the power of perseverance and the beauty of connection. I look forward to continuing this journey, exploring new languages and cultures along the way, and inspiring others to embrace their own paths to fluency.